Shalom, shalom, and welcome. Welcome to White Robes family. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present. This particular segment is part of the Judgment, Warnings, and Instruction playlist and series of warnings and instructions, my brothers and sisters. I want to bring your attention to the words on the screen, last goodbye opportunities. Last goodbye opportunities. And I will share with you the relevance of these words as it relates to end times, as it relates to our future. But before I get into this specific message, let me read the following. Warning and disclaimer. The information contained in White Robes family represent instructions and warnings to individuals who believe they are drawn by the Almighty Creator Yahuah to Yahusha Mashyach. The content presented centers around end-time realities. Please be advised this site is not intended for children under 16 years of age due to its content. And as I state, to be compliant with the media platforms that I use. Make no mistake, the words of the Almighty Father will reach the ears of those whom He has intended it to reach. And I believe wholeheartedly in Isaiah 55:11. That lets us know that His words will not return to Him void nor empty, but will accomplish the tasks they are set out to do. By continuing forward, you agree to hold Symmanayah harmless of any influence in or actions that arise as a result of watching, listening, and reviewing the content presented. The views expressed do not reflect the owners, management, and or shareholders of this media platform. Please be mindful that I am not affiliated with any other organization or ministry with a similar name. Yashar'al. Last goodbye opportunities. We are indeed in end times, my brothers and sisters. And I say to you, either we believe the scriptures to be true or we do not. Regardless of the position of one's belief, it will not stop the plan from the plan of the Almighty One Yahuah from unfolding before our very eyes. End times are here. In the scriptures, Matthew 24th chapter, Luke 21, and various other scriptures throughout the book we know as the scriptures in itself, or that's commonly known as the Bible. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, catastrophic situations and conditions are coming. Extreme humbling times have come. They have begun in more ways than we can imagine. We who are in the Western Hemisphere and much of the other industrialized nations may not be experiencing or paying attention. But make no mistake, a time will come when everyone must move. And the schedule of the Almighty Father will not be centered around us, my brothers and sisters. We must realize that that schedule, as it may be, will move people in ways that we could not have imagined. Imagine earthquakes, tsunamis, nuclear fallout, civil unrest, chaos breaking out. There are conditions that will occur where we may not be able to see the person that we love again. We may not see the people of our fellowship again. And there are those we may see. You see, my brothers and sisters, when these conditions begin to unfold, we won't have a chance to go back and say goodbye. There are people to this day who took for granted the life we have among one another. And some are wrestling with guilt because of the last words they said to one person or another. My brothers and sisters, as end times ramp up, we will learn that as the Most High call us and order us forward, not to look back, not to be weighted down by saying I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. Now it's the time to be having discussions among loved ones, even among children that can comprehend. Now it's the time to have the discussions that there is a chance that catastrophic situations could occur that may separate us. But trust and believe that there is an Almighty Father. It is time to begin to teach and challenge one another, to move closer into the spirit of Yahuah, to recognize the power of the inward man, to recognize that we have everlasting life through Yahusha Mashyach. It is time to reinforce such teachings and speakings, my brothers and sisters, for the last opportunities, the last goodbye opportunities are passing for some and have passed for others, and will pass again. We must learn to not allow our mental state, our spiritual state, our emotional state to cause us to be weighted down with regret that leads to I didn't have a chance to say goodbye. My brothers and sisters, come with me and I will share with you why I believe such things will come to be. My brothers and sisters, the fruit of judgment. You see, my brothers and sisters, the scriptures tell us about judgment in more ways and shapes than many. And I'm going to present a scripture here in a minute that I've spoken of. But let me pause for a minute. As I awakened this morning, I had a dream. And I pondered on this dream and prayed and asked the Most High, what does this mean? It was a dream basically where I witnessed individuals being influenced by the wicked one with things that made them feel good. It was a room where there was individuals. They were all eating different things, from sweets to salties, from big feasts to little meals. They were eating things that they liked eating and enjoyed that really just tickled their tonsils. And they were so busy consuming that they didn't realize that someone and something had brought them together in this room. And I looked around the room and it was mostly young adults to children. I didn't see anyone of my own age, maybe one or two. And they were eating, they're like, this is good. Oh yeah, this is good. I can eat this, I can eat this. And as they were eating, it's like I felt something within me saying, look around. They're distracted by the feel good, what feels good. I am drawing you. And I began to pray and say, is that you, my Father? In the name of Yahusha, is that you? And he said, yes. Beyond the things that feels good and tastes good, it's something much greater. And that is the direction that I'm giving you that will bring you into a mature, everlasting life. So I looked around the room and I began to tell the different ones, don't eat that. Don't mess with that. It might feel good. It might taste good. Come away from that. Someone within you is speaking to you. These are distractions. These feel goods are distractions. Someone within you is stirring. And that someone is indeed the Almighty Father in the name of Yahusha. And I opened the window and told them to step out of this room and to climb out the window. And they looked and they said, well, where are we going? And I said, just head out, go that way. And I pointed to a certain direction. I said, I believe the same person that's stirring within me is stirring within you, and we will meet up. And then that influence was fighting, saying, no, you need to finish eating. Come back, I got something better. It looks good, tastes good, come and see. And I said to that influence, there's something greater. There's something better. There's something that promotes life and gives life that they are drawn to. They have come away from the distractions. And I woke up, my brothers and sisters. I woke up from the dream, praying and asking. Now, I don't believe everyone that has a dream will always get an interpretation. But I will say this, my brothers and sisters. The Almighty Father brought me to the point of saying, I'm getting ready to prune the tree to where it would be able to grow and be magnified. I'm beginning to deal with the matters that I have given you through the scriptures in times past. And I'm going to share with you, O Yashar'al, where it led me to. And that is this here communications, this video. The fruit of judgment. There's a first. There are beginnings, my brothers and sisters. Let me share with you what I mean. And I will share with you how this led to me presenting this warning, these instructions. Last goodbye opportunities, my brothers and sisters. If we believe end times are here, if we believe the conditions that are described in the scriptures are coming visible before our very eyes, then we will witness that last goodbye opportunities will pass for many of us. Now, let me talk about this matter of judgment, my brothers and sisters, the fruit of judgment. Consider 1 Peter, my brothers and sisters, 4:17 through 19. It reads, because it is time for judgment to begin from the house of the Almighty One, and if firstly from us, what is the end of those who do not obey the good news of the Almighty One? Time for judgment to begin from the house. My brothers and sisters, we will be used by the Almighty Father to judge one another, to judge ourselves. And those who are discerning the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah will have no need for man to judge them. For the Spirit of the Almighty Father will have indeed equipped us with the ability to know and discern the difference between right or wrong. It said, if the righteous one is scarcely saved, where shall the wicked and the sinner appear? So then those who suffer according to the desire of the Almighty One should commit their lives to a trustworthy Creator in doing good. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, judgment, the fruit of judgment is discipline. For we render a judgment, now we know what we must do. If it's right, we know what we must do. If it's wrong, we know what we must do. If it's right, we must lean into the words of the Most High and walk in obedience and execute the things that He is guiding us to do. If it's wrong, we must purge it from us or come away from it, my brothers and sisters. Last opportunities, last goodbye opportunities, my brothers and sisters. And then He brought me to the fig tree. Now, I've read the scriptures, my brothers and sisters, many a times, but I did not get this particular meaning from the fig tree. Let me ask you a question, my brothers and sisters. Do end times speak of famine and pestilence? Do you understand that famine is food shortage? Well, let me ask you this question, my brothers and sisters. How would you feel that as the end times ramp up and you find yourself without food or beginning to run out of food, and you come across someone and they tell you, oh, there's a fig tree about 2 miles up the road to your right? How would you feel if you're starving, you're hungry, and you want that, and that's the only food that you know that's available? You had some water, but you want something solid to put in your stomach, and they tell you to go 1 mile to your right or 2 miles to your right or down the street, and you exhaust and expend all your time and energy to make it to that fig tree, only to find that there aren't any figs on it. How would you feel if right at that very moment someone would tell you, you know, I did the same thing that you just did, and I was praying, and I was told that I listened to the wrong person, I went to the wrong tree, and I was saying to myself, if this tree was not here, they would not directed me to go to something that doesn't exist anymore. And it was as though the Spirit of Yahusha was saying to me, so it is with Yashar'al. We must label that tree that's not producing fruit. We must execute judgment as the Almighty Father guides us. There are times when we must reject that tree that does not produce fruit. Yes, that's a form of cursing that tree. There are brothers and sisters that we will find ourselves directed to deliver to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved. Who is aware of what is written? in that passage, my brothers and sisters? I'll find it, just in case someone is unfamiliar with that. You see, Yashar'al, there are strong and severe things that we must take under consideration when it comes to walking this walk of set apartness, when it comes to walking in obedience. And yes, there are tough decisions we must make. Last opportunities to say goodbye. There are times we're going to say goodbye to people that we love and care for, brothers and sisters. There are times where we will find ourselves saying goodbye to people that did us harm, did us ill. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, let me find this passage. And bear with me for a second, and we'll go forward. It is in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 5. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 5. But if you read the verses before that, you'll see the literal was an example where a brother strayed, went a-whoring, and the people around him were just not doing much about it. And Shaul corrected them and said, don't let this kind of behavior continue amongst the body. Deliver one to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved. You see, my brothers and sisters, there are those who are drawn by the Almighty Father, who are babes, who are unlearned, who stumble and fall, and they will be brought to rest. They will come to the grave, my brothers and sisters. Now, I'm not talking about those who have no intentions of serving. I'm talking about the babe, the unlearned, the undiscerned, the one that was probably deceived. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, it is important for us to recognize that it is beneficial for us to label, to judge, as we are led to judge. Oftentimes, there's a reason behind it, and end times will prove, my brothers and sisters, the purpose in Yahusha Mashyach cursing that fig tree so that it would not be there, so no one else will look for that fig tree for food and come up empty-handed. Consider the passage I am referencing. My brothers and sisters, Matthew chapter 21, verse 19 through 22, it reads as follows. And seeing a single fig tree by the way, he came to it and found not on it but leaves, and said to it, let no fruit grow on you ever again. And immediately the fig tree withered. Notice that it was a fig tree, so it was of the seed of a fig, seed of Abraham. It was a tree, so it had some substance. It had leaves, it had some substance, but it had not produced fruit. You see, my brothers and sisters, many will want to pat themselves on the back and say, I'm a tree, I have leaves, or I am set apart, Yashar'al. I have something to offer, but not the love, not the demonstration of obedience before them. So patting yourself on the back, looking back, trying to prop yourself up is the wrong thing to do, my brothers and sisters. He goes on to say, and it taught one, seeing it, marveled, saying, how did the fig tree wither so soon? And Yahusha answered and said to him, truly I say to you, if you have belief and do not doubt, you should not only do what was done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, be removed, be thrown into the sea, it shall be done. And whatever you ask in prayer, believing you shall receive. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, Yashar'al, know this, that as he used us, remember it says, if you don't have belief, it's impossible to please the Most High. So there are things he's going to tell us and guide us to do and say during these last times that will cause a purging, that will cause a time of saying goodbye. that will cause a time for coming away from, presenting moments where we should say our final goodbyes. Last goodbye opportunities will come as Yashar'al is brought together, leaving behind those who are rebellious, undiscerning, or just plain wicked. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, when cataclysmic conditions rise, when a sense of urgency swell up before us, many will wish they were able to, at the very least, say goodbye to a loved one. Yashar'al. The same with fruit and branches. Let me give the example. Do you believe end times will be a time we will become weak, O Yashar'al? Do you believe end times will be a time when some of us may literally be physically weak? Do you think it may be a time where we may need to throw each other a lifeline, so to speak, for support? Well, imagine someone handing you a branch and it snapped because it was dead inside, hollow inside. It was weak. It was brittle. Imagine someone trying to pull you to their side, trying to lift you up and hand you a dead branch. How would you feel? Imagine someone telling you, take this branch. And if you are one who's familiar with gardening or planting, if you have a branch that is alive, there's a way to set it in water and watch it grow roots and watch it become a vine or a tree and produce fruit. But if it's dead, it's not going to happen, my brothers and sisters. How would you feel if someone told you in times of need, yeah, there's some good branches there, you can grow some food. There's some fruit over there, and you go over there and nothing but dead twigs, no fruit. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, this is one of the reasons why the Most High talks about if it's not bearing fruit, if it's a dead branch. This is one of the reasons, too, it is important to prune a plant, to make room for growth and vitality. I say to you, O Yashar'al, branches and fruit is an example, a literal example given to us, but it connects with the fruit of the Spirit, the building up of a set-apart nation. Consider these words, my brothers and sisters. John chapter 15, verse 1 through 6. John chapter 15, verse 1 through 6. I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, so that it bears more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Stay in me, and I stay in you, as the branch is unable to bear fruit of itself unless it stays in the vine, so neither you unless you stay in me. My brothers and sisters, you see, we can begin growing strong in set-apartness and stumble and fall and veer off the path of correctness. The end, if we do not yield to the blood of the Lamb and become renewed, the end is death. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, there are reasons we must be strong and severe in set-apartness. There are reasons where we will find it to be a time of saying goodbye. And we will find that the times we might be feeling grieved when we didn't have a chance to say goodbye will serve of no purpose for when the Most High is calling us to look forward and march forward according to his orders. Let us focus forward, O Yashar'al. Let us learn what we must do and press into set-apartness as end times ramp up. 15:5 and 6 says, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who stays in me and I in him, he bears much fruit, because without me you are unable to do naught. Some may say, do nothing. If anyone does not stay in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up. And they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burnt up. Now one might say, well, he say burnt up. Will the set apart children of Yahuah be burnt up? Some will. I'm not talking about everlasting damnation. That's not what it said. It said burned up. Are you not aware that when widespread destruction comes in end times, there will be volcanic activity? There will be fires that will destroy even brothers and sisters that are in set apartness. Some rebellious, some obedient. The obedient are burned up because maybe they were the ones, and I believe wholeheartedly there will be some obedient to the Most High that would say to the person next to them, do not fear what happened to these earthen vessels. We have everlasting life through Yahuah in the name of Yahusha. And they may spray these words to those who did not get out of the path of destruction. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. The words and messages from the Most High will come in more ways, shaped than we can imagine. It is important for us to recognize, just as branches and fruit literally have a purpose, spiritual branches and fruit has a purpose. My brothers, my sisters, my family, a set-apart awakening nation has begun to rise. Here, O Yashar'al, last goodbye opportunities are facing many of us as we speak. For the Most High is beginning to clear a path for those who will rise up. Among the 144,000 in great multitude, he is clearing a path. And in that clearing, there will be some that will physically die. There will be some that will be physically removed from out of our way. And there are some whom we will have the strength, fortitude, resources, and abilities to not only possibly do, but actually act, O Yashar'al. Are you confident that you are among the correct people, that you're in the right position? The correct position in people is going to be important as we find ourselves being gathered together, O Yashar'al. Consider these words. Matthew 24, 4 and 5, my brothers and sisters. Matthew 24, 4 and 5. And Yahusha answered and said to him, take heed that no one leads you astray, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. Beware, O Yashar'al. Know how to ask questions. Know how to vet. There are those that are being led astray and don't even know it because they fail to ask questions and seek answers. There are those who are being led astray because they believe in the letter, and fail to discern the living life of the Most High before their very eyes. Instructions are going forward. When will you wake up and recognize their linkage to the text as it is made alive? 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 through 6 talks about the falling away. And I've mentioned this before, O Yashar'al. And I want to bring your attention that in the 6th verse, there's something that restrains the anti-Messiah right now, my brothers and sisters. And we are that restrainer. We who are marked, sealed in our foreheads by the Almighty Father's messengers, by the power and might of his word, who are sealed to fulfill end-time prophecies. We will recognize that a time will come when we must move and we must gather from the four corners of the earth. And as we begin to gather, we will see the emergence of the anti-Mashyach, commonly known as the Antichrist and the false prophet. They are here and they are ready to take their positions to the fullest. But there's a restrainer, O Yashar'al, and that is the obedient ones of the Most High who will fulfill the gathering from the four corners of the earth. There's a restrainer, O Yashar'al. Read 2 Thessalonians 2:6. Many people believe the restrainer means that we must be raptured to be out of the way. But I submit to you, the Father has given me a vision and has revealed to me that as he gathered those whom he has chosen to fulfill the end time promises of being gathered from the four corners of the earth, will be in a place where he has gathered us that will be centered around the true Mount Sinai, which is commonly known as Jabal al, situated in the northwest quadrant of what is now known as Saudi Arabia. We will gather, and the wicked nations will gather in the valley of Megiddo, commonly referred to as many people as Armageddon. The valley of Megiddo, they will gather and organize, and then they will march towards the set-apart camp of Yashar'al. But before they get to the camp to do any damage to the set-apart ones that have been gathered, the two witnesses of Revelation would have completed their task, and they will rise up after 3.5 days, and Yahusha Mashyach will come down and put a halt to all that is against the tribe of Yashar'al, the children of Yahuah. You see, in the 7th chapter, the 12 tribes that come to be will fulfill their duties and their task, and then ultimately we will all be under one nation banner. That banner is Yashar'al. Consider Isaiah 11:12, my brothers and sisters. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, much is unfolding before our very eyes. Unity comes for diverse nationalities, made one by Yahusha Mashyach. Consider the four banners, the gathering. Isaiah 11:12, which I mentioned. Consider Revelation 7:9, which talks about a great multitude. You see, my brothers and sisters, the 7th chapter of Revelation is most often spoken of regarding 144,000. And many people are so excited about that they disregard the great multitude of many nations, kindreds, and tongues. Together, we will fulfill all that is written, O Yashar'al. These things will prove to come about as details and processes unfold before our very eyes. Be mindful, my brothers and sisters. I want you to be mindful of the following. Amos 8th chapter, verse 11 and 12 reads, See, days are coming, declares Master Yahuah, that I shall send a hunger in the land, not a hunger of bread, nor a thirst for water, but for hearing the words of Yahuah. And they shall wander from sea to sea and from north to east. They shall diligently search, seeking the word of Yahuah, but they shall not find it. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, just as I mentioned about the fig tree, the branches, and the fruit, how would you feel if someone told you the camp of Yashar'al is 2 miles to the east and 1 mile south, and you made that journey and didn't find anyone who sought to do the will of the Almighty Father? How would you feel if you're just looking for counsel and someone pointed you to someone because they said there was a moray, a pastor, teacher, a bishop, and you go to them and you find that they are undiscerning, unlearning, and really full of themselves with hidden agendas? How would you feel if you received the wrong direction? I say to you, O Yashar'al, hear what I just read. When people become hungry for the word of the Most High and start running around searching for it, it is important to learn how to vet and ask questions, my brothers and sisters. At least we find ourselves in a position where we can't find what we're looking for. Those who called and chosen will go through the discipline that is necessary, my brothers and sisters. You see, Yashar'al, it is important for us to realize why we must be able to identify the members of the body of Yashar'al. For oftentimes, as we move about, we will seek direction. We will seek to discern direction of which way to go, left, right, forward or backwards, or be still. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, as we grow, we will continue to have a hunger for the word, because we would want to know, what are we supposed to do as end times ramp up? If it's a pandemic with disease, if it's an earthquake or tsunami, if it's wildfires, if there are meteor showers, if there are volcanic activity, which direction should we go? We will hunger for the word of the Most High to guide us through as these things come and be. Or if he wants us to be strong and echo the salvation that he has brought before us to those who are around and say, hey, there's a life beyond these earthen vessels. Though the roads are closed, though the valleys or the exit points are blocked, though we may feel physical pain, let us rejoice in the spirit of Yahuah, knowing that we have a place with him in everlasting life. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, let's call it as we see it, as we are led by the Almighty Father. For unity comes for a diverse group, a diverse nationalities made one by the Almighty Father. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, we must begin to understand the importance of what's ahead, what lies ahead for us. Let me read this here, O Yashar'al. Forced migrations come. Screenings come. Vetting come. Examining one another will come. Consider Amos 9, 8, and 9. Listen to what is said here. Look, the eyes of the Master Yahuah are on the sinful reign, and I shall destroy it from the face of the earth, except that I do not completely destroy the house of Yaakov, declares Yahuah. For look, I am commanding, and I shall sift the house of Yashar'al among all the nations, as one sifts with a sieve, yet not a grain fall to the ground. Sifting, my brothers and sisters, is the same as saying screening. And the things that fall to the ground are the things that have no purpose in this set-apart walk, in this set-apart body. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, last goodbye opportunities. The actions that the Most High will bring about will bring evidence that there will be separation, segregation. There will be things that will occur. My brothers and sisters, let me read the following. You see, unity and movement comes. End times are here. I can't stress it enough. And though you may say he's redundant, ask yourself, are you hearing exactly the same thing that I said before? Or did I introduce some things similar, but that reinforces things I've said before? Are my overall messages directed towards you, to encourage me, to encourage us to lean towards the Almighty Father? Consider these words, O Yashar'al. 2 Corinthians 4:16, therefore we do not lose heart, but even if our outward man is perishing, the inward man is being renewed day by day. That was 2 Corinthians 4:16. Consider 1 Corinthians 15:53, for this corruptible has to put on incorruption, and this mortal to put on immortality. I cannot stress enough. This is the season to recognize the inward man, to recognize the spirit of a man that will not be male nor female, married or single, but alive according to the ways that the Most High has designed us to be. Search the scriptures, and you will see that they explain exactly what I just said. Ecclesiastes 12:6. Well, let me pause for a minute, my brothers and sisters. For many of you may not even be aware of what I'm talking about. And I will take you to that passage. Come with me to Galatians chapter 3, verse 28 and 29. It says, there is not Yehudah nor Greek. There is not slave nor free. There is not male and female. So I said male or female. Male and female in terms of marriage. For you are all one in Messiah Yahusha. And if you are of Messiah, then you are seed. Then you are seed of Abraham and heirs according to the promise. Yashar'al or Yashar'al. There are things that must happen regarding nationality, our race, who we are, whether Gentile or Greek. Gentile, or whether you use the term Gentile or Greek, whether Hebrews or Gentiles, whether Abrahym or Goym. My brothers and sisters, we each have a part to represent what is written, and we will each find ourselves being grafted together as one by Yahusha Mashyach. We will recognize that, and it will be confirmed, and we will witness the strength and power of him working within us as we are made one by him. By the power and might of the word of the Almighty Father, we will grow to understand beyond what is in front of us that we see with our physical eyes, beyond what we hear with our physical ears. We are being prepared for a life of everlasting peace and love and actions that reflect the set-apart ways of the Almighty Father. I cannot stress it enough. We must indeed rise up, O Yashar'al. Ecclesiastes 12:6-7 say, remember him before the silver cord is loose. Ecclesiastes 12th chapter, verse 6 and 7. Ecclesiastes 12th chapter, verse 6 and 7. Remember him before the silver cord is loose, or the golden bowl is broken, or the jar shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the well. And the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to the Almighty One who gave it. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, there are many scriptures that talk about widespread destruction during end times. There are many scriptures that inform us of what to expect during these end times. Talk to your children. Talk to young ones. Responsibly. Use wisdom. Talk to brothers and sisters and family members and those among your fellowships. Make no mistake, my brothers and sisters. How one responds as extreme times ramp up could very well depend on what you say to them, what you present to them. You see, warnings are something that many people don't like to face the realities of end times, don't want to talk about the responsibilities that we have. But how would you feel knowing that you could have eased the pain for someone by explaining to them that there's more to life than these earthen vessels, that you could have helped ease the pain as they face destruction or death by letting them know that there is an Almighty Father and that he's created a plan for our lives now and a plan for our lives that will go far beyond the expectancy and the time life of these earthen vessels. Yashar'al. Yashar'al. Do you know of anyone that walks around to this date with guilt that's saying, boy, my son died, my daughter died, my mom died, my father died, my brother, my sister died, someone close to me died, and I didn't even have a chance to say goodbye? Here, O Yashar'al, the scriptures tell us about what will happen during end times. This is the season, if ever before in existence. This is the time to realize last goodbye opportunities are now, O Yashar'al. There can be opportunities to say goodbye, as in acknowledging a departure. There could be opportunities for saying goodbye because you're walking into the obedient steps. You're walking in obedience in the steps that the Most High has directed you. And it may very well set an example for someone else to do the same. And they may come running, catching up with you and journeying with you. They may go another route, but in the end, you see them meeting up physically, naturally. For maybe they are tasked to spread the word that you gave to them. Or maybe we just may all meet at resurrection time, we who are indeed set apart. Last goodbye opportunities, something hard to discuss. But I advise you, O Yashar'al, if you truly love those that are close to you, especially those that will pose a weight to you if you didn't have a chance to say goodbye when the earthquakes come, when disease, when quarantine start trapping you in areas where you can't get away and you find yourself dying, when tsunamis come, when you've traveled to another land or somewhere in a point where you should not have been and you find no way of return. Those who will come to mind that will weigh on you as saying, I wish I would have had opportunity to say goodbye, begin letting them know that such end times conditions can present situations where we will not be able to say goodbye. Hard words, O Yashar'al. Pray on these matters. Take them to heart, for end time realities are unfolding before our very eyes. I thank you for your patience, your tolerance, your pursuit of set apartness, your willingness to step into the things that are real. As the Spirit of the Most High is equipping you with the opportunity, the words, the actions, to demonstrate before the world that we serve an Almighty One. I salute you, O set apart one. I salute you, my brother, my sister. In the name of Yahusha, I say to you, take heed to warnings and instructions. In the name of Yahusha, I say to you, establish a ready mind, body, and soul. In the name of Yahusha, I say to you, rise up and be encouraged, for our redemption draws near. On that note, O set apart family, Shalum.